I am Reed. I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. All right, so I was at a barbecue last summer, standard backyard thing, burgers on the grill, a couple of beers, neighbors all hanging out. I ended up talking to my neighbor Steve. Steve is 68 years old, been retired for about 5 years now, and I am just making conversation, asking him how retirement's going. I was fully expecting the usual answer. Oh, it is nice. We getting by, keeping busy. The kind of thing you say when you don't really want to get into it, but instead this guy looks me dead in the eye and goes, honestly, Reed, I am doing way better now than I was when I was working, and I am standing there with a burger in my hand, just frozen. Wait, what? How does that even work? You stop working, you stop getting a paycheck, somehow you are doing better. I thought he must have won the lottery or inherited a pile of money or something, but he just laughed and said no, nothing like that. So I pressed him, I asked him to explain, and the stuff he started telling me, I am not gonna lie, it blew my mind. So I went home and I started researching. I dug into the data, I talked to other retirees, and guess what? Steve's situation is actually pretty common. There are people all over this country who stop working, stop earning a salary, and somehow their bank accounts keep growing, their net worth keeps climbing, and they out here playing golf on a Tuesday afternoon. Now I know what you are thinking, because I thought the exact same thing. That makes zero sense. You stop working, you stop getting money. How in the world do you get richer? Stick with me, because I am going to break down exactly why this happens. And some of these reasons are going to surprise you. Reason number one, the tax situation completely flips. When you are working, Uncle Sam is taking a massive bite out of every single paycheck. Federal income tax, state income tax. If you live in one of those states, Social Security tax, Medicare tax. By the time all of that is taken out, plus your health insurance premiums and whatever else, you might be losing 30, 40, even 50% of your gross income before you ever see a dime. It is brutal, but when you retire, everything changes. Your taxable income usually drops significantly. You are not earning a big salary anymore. Instead, you are pulling from a mix of Social Security, retirement accounts, maybe some rental income, maybe a small pension if you are lucky, and because of how the tax brackets work, you end up paying way less. Let me give you a quick example without getting too deep into the math. Say you were making 100 grand a year while working. After all your taxes and deductions, you might be taking home like 65 or 70,000, but in retirement, if you are pulling out, say, 60,000 from your savings and Social Security combined, you might actually pay taxes on way less than that. Imagine 30,000 comes from Social Security and 30,000 comes from a traditional IRA or 401k. Only part of your Social Security is taxable, usually about half if that is your only income. So instead of 30 grand being taxed, only 15,000 counts. Add that to the 30,000 from your IRA. That puts your taxable income at 45,000. Then the standard deduction kicks in. For someone over 65, it is roughly 17,000. So even though you spent $60,000 that year, you are only paying tax on about 28,000. That is less than half. And if some of that money comes from a Roth account or you are married, the number drops even more. So suddenly you are keeping way more of your money than you ever did while you were working. It is like getting a raise just for being old. Reason number two, your expenses absolutely crazy. Think about all the stuff you are spending money on right now because of your job, commuting to work every day. Gas, car maintenance, parking fees, public transit passes, that adds up fast. Your work wardrobe, depending on your job, that could be a serious expense. Dry cleaning alone is brutal. Lunch during the workday. Grabbing coffee on the way in, snacks from the vending machine, all those little things that you don't even think about, but they drain your wallet every single month. Then you've got the big ones. By the time you retire, you are probably done paying your mortgage, or at least you should be. Your kids are grown and out of the house, so you are not paying for their college, their food, their car insurance, their phone bill, their endless list of activities and needs. And let me tell you, kids are expensive. I don't have any yet, but I've watched my friends with kids, and I am like, where did all your money go? It is wild. And here is something nobody really talks about. You stop spending money on convenience when you are working full-time. You are time poor. So you pay extra for convenience. You order takeout instead of cooking. You pay someone to mow your lawn. You hire a cleaner. You buy pre-chopped vegetables at the store because you don't have time to chop them yourself. But when you retire, you've got nothing but time. So suddenly you are cooking at home, doing your own yard work, handling all those little tasks yourself. Is it glamorous? Number, but does it save you thousands of dollars a year? Absolutely. And that money stays in your pocket, or better yet, it stays in your investments. Reason number three, compound interest becomes your best friend. By the time you hit retirement, compound interest has been working for you for decades, and it is finally paying off in a big way. Let me explain this. When you are young and you start saving for retirement, compound interest feels kind of disappointing. Honestly, you put in money, it grows a little bit, and you are like, cool, I made 50 bucks this month. It doesn't feel like it is doing much, but here is the thing about compound interest. It is exponential, not linear. That means the growth accelerates over time. The first 20 years of saving, that is when you are doing most of the heavy lifting, you are contributing money from your paychecks. But the last 10 or 15 years before retirement. That is when your money is doing most of the work. I've seen portfolios where someone contributed maybe 300,000 of their own money over their career, 300 grand out of their own pocket, but by the time they retired, that portfolio was worth over $1 million. The rest was all compound growth, dividends, interest, capital gains, all of it just snowballing over time. And here's the crazy part that compound growth doesn't stop when you retire. As long as you are not withdrawing everything at once, which you absolutely should not be doing, your remaining investments keep growing. So even while you are pulling money out to live on, your portfolio might still be getting bigger. It is like having a goose that lays golden eggs. You are only taking a few eggs at a time while the goose keeps laying more. Eventually, you've got more eggs than you started with, even though you've eaten some along the way. That is the power of compounding in retirement, and it is honestly beautiful. Reason number 4, Social Security is way more valuable than people give it credit for. I know everyone loves to trash Social Security. It is going bankrupt. It won. Be there for me. I am never going to see that money. I've heard it all. But here's the reality. It is still there. It is still paying out. And for most retirees, it covers a significant chunk of their basic expenses. The average Social Security check right now is around $1,800 a month. If you are married, you are probably looking at close to $3 grand a month combined. And here is the key that is guaranteed income for life. You cannot outlive it. Think about what that means for your investments. If Social Security is covering your rent or your mortgage and your groceries, you don't need to withdraw as much from your retirement accounts. And if you are not withdrawing as much, that means more money stays invested, continuing to grow. So in a weird way, Social Security acts like a protective buffer around your investment portfolio. It lets your assets keep compounding instead of getting depleted. And over time, that can result in your net worth actually increasing even though you are technically retired and not working anymore. Plus, Social Security comes with inflation adjustments. So as the cost of living goes up, your benefit goes up too. Try getting that from your old employer. Reason number 5, healthcare costs drop dramatically. Once Medicare kicks in, I know healthcare is expensive in America. Trust me, we all know, but here is something interesting. Before you turn 65, if you are not getting insurance through an employer anymore, you are paying for private health insurance. And that can be absolutely brutal. We're talking potentially thousands of dollars a month for a couple in their early 60s. But once you hit 65 and Medicare kicks in, your premiums drop like a rock. Yeah. Medicare isn't free, and you might want to get a supplement plan, but overall, it is way cheaper than private insurance for most people. I talked to a couple who retired at 62, and they told me they were paying almost $2,000 a month for health insurance through the marketplace. $2,000 a month just to stay covered. But the day they both turned 65 and switched to Medicare, their healthcare costs dropped to like $400 a month. That is an extra $1,600 a month that they can now keep in their pocket or let keep growing in their investments. That is almost 20 grand a year. So for a lot of people, that 3-year gap between retirement and Medicare eligibility is actually the most expensive time healthcare-wise. But once Medicare kicks in, it is like a weight gets lifted and suddenly your budget has way more breathing room. Reason number 6, people downsize and unlock equity. Here's a common scenario. You've been living in a big house for 30 years. You raised your kids there, you paid off the mortgage. And now that house is worth a lot of money because real estate has appreciated over time. But now it is just you and your spouse and you don't need all that space. So what do? You sell the house, pocket the gains, which by the way are mostly tax-free thanks to the capital gains exclusion on primary residences. And then you buy or rent something smaller and cheaper. Let's say you sell your house for 500 grand and buy a condo for 250. Boom, you just added $250,000 to your liquid net worth. And if that new place has lower property taxes, lower utilities, and lower maintenance costs, you are also reducing your ongoing expenses. I've seen people do this and end up with an extra couple hundred grand sitting in their investment accounts, still growing, and they reliving in a place that is easier to maintain with lower costs. It is like getting paid to downsize. Not everyone does this. Some people are emotionally attached to their homes, and I get that. But for those who are willing to make the move, it can be a massive wealth accelerator in retirement. Reason number 7, side hustles and part-time work. A lot of retirees end up doing some kind of side hustle or part-time work, not because they have to, but because they want to. Retirement doesn't mean you sit in a rocking chair and do nothing for 30 years. Most people would go completely insane doing that. So a lot of retirees find something they enjoy doing that also brings in a little extra cash. Maybe they consult in their old industry a few hours a week. Maybe they start a small online business. Maybe they do some freelance work or turn a hobby into a side income. I've seen retirees start woodworking businesses, become pet sitters, drive for rideshare apps a few hours a week. The point is they bringing in money, but it is on their terms. No boss, no commute, no stress. And here's the beautiful part. They don't need that money to live on. Their retirement savings and Social Security are already covering their expenses. So this extra income, it is all gravy. It goes straight into savings or investments. making them even wealthier over time. Reason number 8, inheritance and windfalls. A lot of people receive inheritances or other financial windfalls during their retirement years. This one is a bit more variable because it depends on your family situation, but statistically, people tend to inherit money from their parents during their 60s and 70s. And depending on the size of that inheritance, it can significantly boost your net worth. Even if it is not a massive inheritance, it is still found money that you weren't counting on when you did your retirement planning, so it goes straight into your assets. And beyond inheritances, retirees sometimes benefit from other windfalls. Maybe they finally cash out some old stock options from a company they worked at decades ago. Maybe they sell a rental property they've held for years. Maybe they settle an insurance claim or get a class action payout. These unexpected financial events tend to pop up more often as you get older, and they all contribute to increasing wealth. Now, before we wrap up, I need to give you the reality check. Not everyone gets richer in retirement. In fact, there are still plenty of people who struggle financially after they stop working. Everything I've talked about today assumes a few things: that you saved adequately during your working years, that you are not carrying a bunch of debt into retirement, that you are living within your means, and that you are being smart about your withdrawals and expenses if you didn't save enough, or if you are withdrawing too much too fast, or if you are still paying off credit cards and car loans in retirement, then yeah, you are probably not going to see your wealth increase. You might see a decrease, actually. But for people who did the work earlier in life, who saved consistently, who avoided major financial mistakes, who planned ahead, retirement can actually be a period of continued wealth accumulation. And that is pretty cool when you think about it. It is not magic. It doesn't happen by accident. It is the result of decades of smart financial decisions finally paying off. And look, if you are in your 20s or 30s and you are worried about your financial future, this should be encouraging news. It means that if you are saving now, if you are investing consistently, if you are keeping your expenses under control, there is a good chance you are going to be just fine. More than fine, actually. You might end up richer in retirement than you ever were while working. That is the goal, right? Are you surprised that people can get richer in retirement? Because do you know anyone this has happened to? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe. I am just a normal dude trying to figure this stuff out and share what I learn along the way. Thanks for watching. Peace.